Hi everyone. Okay, since I've started this channel, I've had several messages asking from people who do not know me, what is the story behind Leland and what happened to Leland and what caused him to pass on. So please forgive me if I get emotional. This is always something that's kind of difficult to talk about, but I feel like it's very refreshing and very helpful for me to talk about. Um, when I was 22 weeks pregnant with Leland, my water broke early. And I went to the hospital, let them know what was going on. I was told at the hospital to go home and wait to miscarry. And if I didn't miscarry, come back at 24 weeks and they would see if they can help me carry on throughout the rest of my term for pregnancy with Leland. I think that was one of the hardest moments of my life, hearing those words and being told to just go home and wait to miscarry without any type of sympathy from the doctor or any type of, understanding from the doctor to realize that, hey, I'm a new parent, my husband's a new parent, this is very hard for us. Why are you just being kind of overly direct about the situation? So we went home. I was on bed rest for 2 weeks straight for that moment. And I mean, before my water had broke, I was having different little symptoms. Like I would have spotting problems and stuff like that. So the pregnancy in itself with Leland was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible pregnancy. I couldn't keep food down. Everything that I ate came back up. When they did a ultrasound on Leland before my water had even broke, they told me that they had found a cyst on his brain and that he was diagnosed with Dandy Walker syndrome. And all of this with my first pregnancy. So you can understand that me and my husband were not freaking out, but we were nervous. We were scared. We were asking God a lot of questions, for sure. So back to when my water broke. Water broke at 22 weeks, and they sent me home, told me to go home and wait to miscarry, basically. And that was basically it. And if I just so happened to not miscarry, to come back and they would see what they could do, and they would have me on hospital bed rest for the remaining of the time. So thank God. God has always proven people wrong, even when they are supposed to be the ones that are knowing all things with health wise. He still continuously proves them wrong. Leland held out for those 2 weeks, and we got admitted to the hospital at 24 weeks. Anybody that knows me knows that was complete torture for me. I hate hospitals. I vowed to myself at 16 that I would not go to a hospital or be checked into a hospital unless I was pregnant. I mean, I would go for my female annuals, of course, but like just your regular annual checkups, no. I hate needles, couldn't do it. So to be admitted into the hospital, and for such a long period of time, we were in the hospital for 64 days until Leland arrived. That was torture for me. Every Wednesday had to get blood drawn. It was complete torture. And I was asking God, why me? Why would you put me in this situation? You know I hate hospitals. You know I hate the situation. Why me? And he was just saying, I give my toughest test to my strongest soldiers. I kept hearing that. And I realized now, after the situation, that he placed me in that hospital for a reason. I touched a lot of lives. My family touched a lot of lives. We helped a lot of young ladies that were in that hospital who didn't have support systems because they came from faraway places in Arkansas. And my family we were all from Central Arkansas, so we were able to help those who needed help, whether it was with food, whether it was just talking with them, praying with them, helping them get through their tough time the same way that I was getting through my tough time. So water broke at 22 weeks, 24 weeks, we got admitted to the hospital. We stayed there for 64 days. 64 days of waiting, 64 days of praying, 64 days of just wanting it to be over with. During that time, my husband was the only one working. My parents supported us throughout the whole process, thank God, because if not, we would have had a hard time, definitely a hard time. Um, so sorry. Um, we got through that 64 days, and on May 4th, Leland decided that he wanted to come. Um, my blood pressure shot up sky high the night before. It was like 190 something over 140. The doctors diagnosed me with preeclampsia. I think that's what it's called. If it's not, sorry. And so my blood pressure was extremely high. It was at stroke level. And that morning, they sent me to labor and delivery because my blood pressure was so high and I had a little bit of spotting. So Leland decided that that was the time he wanted to come. They took me down there. My nurse team, I loved them. I loved my nurses on floor A7 at UAMS. They were awesome. Cammie, Holly, Miss Gail, Miss Marcy. Oh, there's so many of them that were really my support system and my backbone during that time. They understood that I hated needles. They understood that I hated hospitals. They understood that the situation was hard, and they made sure that they made it an easy process, as easy as possible for me. And for that, I am forever grateful and forever thankful to them. And that's why we continue to give to UAMS Antepartum Wing on behalf of Leland's Angel Foundation and on behalf of Leland, because they helped us so much on getting through that process. So they take me to labor and delivery, and labor wasn't too bad. I keep telling people that it felt like really bad gas. I did it natural, no medicine, no epidural, which is something that I was really wanting to do. I did not want to have epidural. I did not want any medication. I wanted to do everything all natural, even in the situation, because that was something that I prided myself on. And I mean, hence I hate needles, so why would I want an epidural? But so we did that, and Leland came at 2:45, I believe, 2:45 on May 4th. When he came, they tried everything they could, and it wasn't his diagnosis with Dandy Walker syndrome that caused him to pass on. It was just the fact that my baby was not accepting the tubes, the breathing tubes that they were placing down his throat. He kept rejecting it. They tried and tried, and he kept rejecting it. They tried for about an hour, and he just kept rejecting it. My baby did not want to be here. He was tired already of going through what he was going through, because after that he would have definitely still had to go into NICU and have to deal with all of the trauma of that part. I know God is a healer, and I know that he could easily have healed Leland, but that wasn't his plan. And they told my mom that they couldn't get him to accept the breathing tubes, and the doctors were freaking out. One of the doctors was breaking down crying because she's like, I just did this 2 hours ago and it was successful. I'm not understanding what's going on. He's just not accepting the breathing tubes. And he wasn't. And so they wheeled me in there in my wheelchair, and when I saw that he wasn't accepting them, and he looked over at me, he literally looked over at me, and I just told him, I can't watch him go through this anymore. If it doesn't work after the next few tries, that's it. He's suffering and he's tired. He's tired. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, because I realized that my baby was tired and that he just wasn't wanting to deal with that. And I didn't want him to deal with that any longer. So after that, they tried a few more times and it did not work. And so Leland was with us for 3 more hours after he was born. He got to meet his grandparents on both sides. He got to meet his auntie. He got to meet his great aunts. He got to meet some of his cousins. And we took pictures with him, and my baby passed on in my arms. That was probably one of the hardest things, but God got me through it, thankfully. And I thank him every day for that. Excuse me, because I'm getting a little emotional. But, yeah, he passed away in my arms. And it was as if I felt that connection with him. Because everybody else had held him. He went to everybody else's arms. And once he came back to me, that's when he took his last breath. And it was as if he knew, I'm with my mom now, I'm safe, and he passed on. Excuse me, trying not to cry. But from then on, I realized that God had a bigger calling for Leland, and that was to connect me and my husband with other families who've gone through the same thing and who are going through the same thing. Leland made a big impact on this world with the 3 hours that he was here. And I'll tell anybody that he made a huge impact on this world with just 3 hours. And so it's hard. It's a battle every day to get through. Some days I still ask God, like, why? Why would you take my baby? But I know there's a bigger purpose. And I know that Leland will be proud of his mommy and daddy. So that is our story. And I hope with us sharing this story, well, hope with me sharing this story, that it helps other parents to know that I know it's hard. I know every day is a battle. Every day is a struggle. But you will get through it. You will. And you can. God's got you. And if you ever need a community of supporters, you can always contact us at lelandsangel0504@gmail.com, and we will have somebody immediately call you as soon as possible to pray with you and just to talk with you or just to listen to you. So God bless, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time.